with the Karen Reed, I have my own opinion. I really do think she's innocent, but like that is based on me going through and like actually reading the testimony, right? So you can watch it all on court TV, right? It's all on court TV and like it's all over the place, but like I find it a lot easier to read the testimony because then I'm not like, oh, her lawyer's he's awesome. So like the next 10 things that come out of his mouth, I'm like, yeah. Because like, I think he's awesome, right? It's just like reading through just gives you another level. I mean,
welcome to the Easy Speak Speakeasy.
You've unlocked the door to unfiltered mental health and wellness conversations.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Episode 38. Back at BCA. Bitch.
Back like we never left.
Unfortunately.
We are grateful for the space and also it's not ideal. I think we got really comfortable filming virtually because there's virtually no setup necessary.
Yeah.
We just turn on our cameras and go.
Yeah. I'm back to my like COVID get dressed from the waist up.
You are. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You'll never know if I'm bottomless.
Now every time we get on Zoom, I'll be like, is she wearing pants?
Never know.
Never know.
Never know if you are either.
True that.
Let's be honest.
True that. There are times where I'm wearing like a cardigan and just like underwear. Nobody knows.
How would they know?
And nobody knows.
Well, who cares?
So, anyway.
Here we are.
Here we are in person. Yay! Hey, y'all. We're here at BCA filming episode freaking 38.
Woo!
And
we're getting up there.
We're getting up there. And I just love it because it's kind of a throwback to our first episode where we were in here. We used the high top bar situation and we're back to it today. So
yeah. So it's a perfect time to cheers.
Cheersies to episode 38.
Catch our drink recipe on Instagram and all the other socials in America.
Yeah.
At Easy Speak on Air. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's an easy
so,
sip.
Oh yeah is not part of the handle.
Yeah, no, it's not. So, okay. So what are we drinking? It's a gin drink. It's yummy.
A little gin, a little Chambord, a little lemon juice, and some club soda. And some raspberries and, lemon just to make it look pretty and fun and summery.
It's delicious.
Let's bring the summer vibes.
I'm so excited for summer.
June.
Yes, finally. Woo! Oh my gosh.
June? July? What month is it? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Summer.
Yeah.
So, and lots of things have been going on that are hot topics in the news.
It's hot outside and it's hot in these streets.
And mostly it is hot in the courtrooms.
The courtrooms are ablaze.
There's so much hot tea being passed around. And so today I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about some of the more preeminent court things that are happening that are spilling over into all of our lives.
Yeah.
I remember.
Lord knows every day when I go to get my mail, I'm like, please don't have jury duty.
Yeah.
Jury duty.
There was one that was in my mailbox the other day. My heart sank. And then I looked at it and it was addressed to somebody who hasn't lived at my address in like 30 years, like, which is wild. I'm like, are you off the grid? Like, how are they still sending your jury duty notices to my house? But
why haven't they been picked in so long?
Yeah.
Let that be me.
Yeah.
Give me that same.
I have not ever, knock on wood.
You've never been picked?
Never.
Wow. I feel like I registered to vote and like a month later I got jury duty.
Really?
Like, this is what happens when you register to vote.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't know that I would be a good juror. Like, I'm just going to say that for the record. So anytime if I do get picked, just dismiss me.
Yeah.
Because
refer to episode 38 of my podcast.
Yes.
Where I talk about what a horrible juror I am.
I don't think I could do it. Like, you know, there's a couple of different trials that I feel like are, you know, top of mind for me anyway, for us. You know, there's the Karen Reed trial, which we'll talk a little bit about, that's happening here in Massachusetts. A few weeks ago, we had the Donald Trump trial wrapping up. He's going to be sentenced in a couple of weeks. And you know, I just like remember like my childhood, the biggest trial that I witnessed as a child, and it like captivated the world of like all the adults around me, was O.J. Simpson. Do you remember that? Obviously. And so like these trials are like periods of time in our lives where like we're so engrossed by it because of all of the media coverage. And just quite frankly, especially with like both Trump and Karen Reed's trial, like the salaciousness involved, it's just like you can't look away. It's like a train wreck and you just can't look away.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny that you bring up the OJ trial because when Trump left the courthouse and he was driving to wherever in his like black SUV. Yeah. He was like stuck in New York traffic, but like the helicopters were following him. Oh my gosh. He was going at like 15 miles an hour. And I was like, throw back to the OJ chase, the slowest chase of all time.
I remember that. And the white Bronco being like, wow.
It was like modern day non-police chase happening.
Oh my gosh. That was so exciting. I remember watching that, like my grandparents were just glued to the TV, like, what's going to happen next? Yeah. Like, can't believe that was shown live, like that chase.
There was so much fallout from that. Yeah. Everything around that. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, it's like different, but same thing. There's just feels like so much disruption in the world based on these big trials that are happening. Yeah. And I think it impacts all of our mental health. Totally. You know, and like, you know, I think our goal is to not be political in any way. Yeah. But to really just talk about that, regardless of kind of where you sit on any of these trials and your personal opinions or how things are managed, whether it's from the judge or as a jury member or just like feeling like you're glued to the TV or it's like you said, like the constant media cycle, like these are the things that really impact our mental health. And so I think it's important to have these conversations because right now I feel like I can't turn anything on without hearing about some kind of trial that's happening and all these other things. But I really am not hearing people at all talk about how we should be protecting our mind and our soul and our spirit with this influx of, you know, what oftentimes feels like negative news.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. Like, okay, so the first trial that I brought up, which it was the Karen Reed trial.
Yes, so, fill us in on this.
Okay, so Karen Reed is a Massachusetts woman who was dating a Massachusetts state police trooper for a couple of years, and the relationship had its ups and downs, whatever. But I forget what the date was. Hold on, let me see. I'm just going to pull it up because I had a quick little synopsis here from.
And don't come for us, stadies, okay? We're just here having a convo. Don't.
Boston police officer.
Don't come for us.
There were state troopers involved, but he was a Boston police officer.
None of you po-po come for us.
Yeah.
Is the point.
Okay. So Karen Reed is on trial for the alleged January 2022 murder of Boston police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe. So it goes on to say Reed allegedly killed her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, when she backed over him with her car after an alcohol-fueled fight during a snowy night on January 29, 2022, outside a home in Canton, Massachusetts. So that night was a wicked nor'easter.
Wicked.
It was snowing wicked hard that night.
I can't stand when it snows. I hate the snow. Look at all the problems it causes.
I know. Look at all the problems. So not only has Reed pleaded not guilty to murder, among other charges, her legal team argued that Reed was framed by an influential family who lived in the Canton, Massachusetts home as part of a top-to-bottom cover-up.
Ooh.
The lead investigator, Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor, a friend of the homeowner, allegedly searched Reed's phone for nude photos without a warrant and texted his friend on his personal phone that he hoped Reed would kill herself. Okay, so lots of mental health stuff happening here, right?
Wow, this is getting good.
Leading up to the trial, state police has denied any wrongdoing. So the judge has ruled that her defense team can argue that someone else killed O'Keefe. So the judge is allowing this. And I heard recently that there's also an FBI investigation happening concurrently. Whoa. So, you know, it's a very hot topic here in Massachusetts. You know, there are some people who believe she's guilty, just like with any trial, right? There are some people who believe she's guilty, some people who believe that she's innocent, you know, and you know, I just think that like what you were saying in terms of like taking in information and it being negative, there's a lot of like really serious things happening in this trial, right? Like we're talking about murder, we're talking about cover-ups, we're talking about, you know, all of these things that not only affect the mental health of the people involved, but like the general public too. And one of the things that Trump said, it has continued to say throughout his trial, has been that the system is rigged, that, you know, all these things, like we can't have faith in our criminal justice system, right? So that paired with this case where we're talking about like the very infrastructure meant to support and protect all of us being rigged as being part of this like huge cover up. You know, I think about the mental health effects of that aspect of things, right? Because there's so many reasons why we as individuals need to access the legal system, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that we as individuals did something wrong. Maybe, you know, we're trying to get justice for something somebody else did. But going into a system that was built to serve and protect, and having the thought that it might be rigged or that, you know, it's possible for those systems to do the exact opposite of what they were built for. I think that's a huge aspect of it from like a mental health standpoint. It's like, how do you trust a government or a system if you have a former president and potential presidential candidate, probably the candidate for the Republican Party, arguing that the system is rigged. And then like on a local level here in Massachusetts, we're dealing with this like huge case that like it's highlighting that aspect too. It's like very interesting.
Here in Boston, we're known for a good cover up.
That's true. This
is bringing me all the like whitey vibes in America.
It's
like
so true. I know.
Boston is known for this, like mob scene.
I know.
And there, you know, people paid off. I don't think this is. Listen, there's always going to be like the good and the bad.
Yeah.
You know, there are always people that are going to try to undercut whatever system.
Yeah.
And I think the law is one of those places where this can play out very easily, right? Because so much of it is built on interpretation.
Right.
And so much of it, of our like legal system was created so long ago, you know, and like
wigs and shit, wigs and like wooden teeth.
That's what we should have named this episode, Wigs and Wooden Teeth.
Yeah, literally. Like founding father ass fucking laws from 1776. Like,
but you know, I think like this is one of the things that I think we often talk about in mental health is that so much of this is about perspective,
right?
You know, and I think different people's perspectives on a law or, you know, how to move forward on something really like plays out, and you start to see all of the differences in our country and in the different types of people that we have here, different beliefs, and even how different people's mindset and experiences are in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting. I would not be excited to be on a jury right now.
Right.
It just feels like
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And how do you, I mean, I guess this is part of the screening process. I don't know what, maybe, have you been through a screening process to be a juror? Like, how do they pick people who are like, are impartial? Like, do they ask you specific questions? Like,
I don't know that it's always about being impartial. I think it's that people are trying to get jurors that will be the best for the outcome that they want.
Who gets to pick the juror?
The lawyers. So jurors come in.
Yeah.
And then the attorneys ask questions or the judge. It depends on what system you're in. Like
Okay.
Criminal, civil, all of that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of times, like if it's the attorneys that are picking the jurors, they're trying to get people that they feel like would potentially be on their side. But, both people have to, I believe,
approve.
Like if somebody says they don't want somebody, then I think that person is dismissed.
Okay. So both the prosecution and the defense gets to... Yeah.
I also feel like part of this knowledge might be coming from Law and Order, so I can't tell.
Double check. We might need a fact check some things in this episode. We might need a little fact check moment, but that's okay. So that's interesting. So, I was thinking like when you're on a juror, when you're serving as a juror, you can't really talk about the case while it's ongoing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. That's hard. I don't know if I could do that. Again, don't pick me because that seems really hard. Like, especially if it's something
I'm pretty sure you can like be massively fined and or serve some sort of like time or penalty if you break that, if you're on a jury.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. It's an absolute rule.
Yeah. So you'd have to shut it up.
I would. But I'm also saying don't pick me.
Yeah.
So
I don't care about what we say on this podcast.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Don't pick me. But like, okay, so you can't.
If you get picked for jury duty, like anytime in the near future, that's what our next Easy Short is going to be about.
And I'm going to sit there in silence the whole time. You ain't going to catch me slipping. But I will go back to them every day and be like, hey, yo, I'm about to sing like a bird. I can't hold it in. No, I'm just kidding. But like, so like if you're not able to talk to anybody, I wonder if like your therapist is excluded, like if you have a therapist, because like the mental health impact of sitting on a jury for like, I'm thinking of the Karen Reed trial. It's been weeks and months, and then like the Donald Trump trial that lasted so long. Like, how do you as a juror maintain your mental well-being while not being able to like talk about what you're experiencing and what you're hearing, right? Like, and Donald Trump's trial, not to like minimize it, but it was about like consenting adults and money going in places that it shouldn't have been going, right? Like, okay. But like when we're talking about like murder and like these like really difficult topics, hearing somebody say that they wish that somebody else would complete suicide, right? Like these are major things that we're not used to hearing about within like our own space for the most part, right? So there's got to be some level of trauma that comes from serving on a jury. And I wonder, like, you never hear about like what supports are available for people, while they're going through that.
I think and for sure on like a high profile trial, and then once the trial is over, it's like the media circus,
right?
Because then you can talk about anything,
right?
And so I think all of that is really challenging for people, but I think there's also people who love to be on juries and serve and like try to get to the truth and all of those things. Yeah.
It's really interesting. I wonder if there's like systems set up by the court. We'll have to look it up to see if there are things that are set up to help support people. But yeah, I mean, that is true. There are people who probably love it and want to like help be part of a solution and all of that good stuff. I don't know though. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough thing. And, I always think about, there are also so many people who are currently in jail and are innocent right now. Mm-hmm. And, then there's kind of two sides on that, right? There are jurors who put that person in jail based on their verdict. Mm-hmm. And there are so many things that happen behind the scenes that jurors don't know about, right? Yeah. Like evidence that isn't able to be shown for whatever reason, like all of these kinds of things that occur.
Yeah.
And then, finding those things out after, I feel like is...
Yeah.
I wouldn't like that if I was like a juror on a trial like that and we came out with a verdict that changed somebody's life forever, that they ended up being imprisoned, which I would be a hard person to get to incarcerate somebody.
Yeah.
Because what?
Yeah.
I really don't believe in our jail systems.
Yeah.
Like,
they suck. Really.
At all.
Yeah.
And so, but then there's also that person who is innocent and is now like being traumatized in the jail system. Right.
How do you even like...
So much of that depends on like, your socioeconomic status, like the color of your skin, where you're from, what you're able to get for representation. There's a reason why our jails are overly full disproportionately with Black and brown people. Yeah. It's like...
It's so true.
It's an awful thing. Like jail... And like criminal stuff is absolutely one of those places where I think it's pretty indisputable that like if you have the money, you are probably going to be all right.
Right. Yes. Which is an interesting thing because like if you think about it, so both the trials that we're talking about today, Karen Reed, I was discussing the other day, I'm like, how does she have money to like, her lawyer is top notch. She's a great lawyer, right? But she was just like a professor at a local university. Like I don't know like her backstory, but I don't think she came from wealth, but she is a white woman, and so she's got a lot of support. I don't know how she's paying for this. Like,
well, it's also so polarizing. Crazy. I wonder if there's some like fundraising that's happening and like all of those kinds of things that are going on.
There is a whole community out there that is dedicated to freeing her. They have taken out billboard ads. So like over by Patriots Place, that's how I first found out about her because there was this huge billboard. It was a picture of her and it was free Karen Reed. She's innocent. And I was like, who's Karen Reed? And this was before the trial started. And so there's been like lots of marketing. There's this one guy, his name is Turtle Boy, I think. Do you know Turtle Boy, Mark? He is like her number. I don't even know that he knows her personally. He just is so invested in her innocence and her, being freed. And quite frankly, the people who are doing that work for her are they're very articulate. Like they are showing up at the courthouse every day with free Karen Reed t-shirts, like all this stuff. And you're right. Like, I wonder if Karen Reed was really like Marie Andrade from Brockton. Like, would it garner the same amount of a Black woman, would it garner the same amount of attention and like fanfare and support? That's an interesting thing. I think you're getting at a really important aspect of our legal system, which, a lot of people will say, like in the beginning, I was saying like, how do you contend with the fact that like our legal system is, being touted as being rigged and like unhelpful? Like there's a lot of people who live with that as like a fact/reality of their lives every single day. So it's not news to them. It's not something that they contend with. Like it just is, it's just not built to serve a certain subset of our population.
Yeah. It's an imperfect system.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would go as far as saying it's rigged.
Yeah, rigged implies...
That's harsh.
Rig implies like purposeful, like moving of, which to some people happen. People will say like, it feels like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I think of rigged, I think of like, to me, that feels like an overly like systemic, you know, and I think like in some ways I could see like a black man being like, the system is rigged.
Right. Exactly.
I just can't see a white billionaire being like, the system is rigged against me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Come to Brockton, Massachusetts. Yeah. And like, see if you think it's rigged.
Right. He'll probably say it is. Yeah, I mean, I know. It's interesting because, yeah, he's not the profile of somebody that you would expect to hear those words from, but, and also he was convicted. So, like, you know, he fought tooth and nail to be like, I'm innocent. And he didn't get that verdict because his team wasn't able to show reasonable doubt, you know, in his defense, which that's what the system's built on, right? Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And it's like even more, like, I just cannot believe that a presidential candidate is officially a convicted felon. Like, that is wild. That is
what
wild.
I can't believe is that, like, he could run for president but can't vote for himself.
Yeah, literally, he can't vote. He can't vote, but he can win the presidency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's state by state.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm kind of making a blanket statement here.
Yeah. I think in New York you can't vote. I think that's where his residency is.
I think you can vote in New York as a felon.
Oh, you can.
But he lives in Florida, but Florida's...
Oh, then he probably still should be.
Florida, they divert to your state of wherever.
Yeah,
so because of that, he actually could vote for himself.
Oh.
But generally speaking...
Yeah.
Like, so many people lose those rights.
Yes.
And it's like...
Wow.
What?
Wow.
These are the things that I feel like need the fixing.
Yeah, that seems pretty rigged. Yeah. Like, that seems like, I mean, it's a little faulty.
If somebody has gone to jail and served their time and they're now back in the world, they should be able to vote. People should be able to get a job.
Yeah.
You know, I think there are just
harsh.
There's a lot of things that I think, like, you know, like, for instance, we have a lot of people that we work with in the mental health field that have lived experience and have, because of the path of their kids, may have had involvement with DCF, right? And so, like, a perfect example of this, which I've been talking about a lot lately because of the housing problems that are happening, is if you have a child with mental health needs that are very behavioral, outwardly behavioral, loud, throwing things, these kinds of things. Yeah. It's very common that if you live in an apartment and you are having a difficult time with your kid and controlling their behaviors, or, you know, you're working at it, but, like, it's not perfect, and you have a neighbor that's upsetting and they end up complaining or calling the police, and then the police become involved. Like, after so many times, because the police are coming to your house for a minor that seems, quote unquote, out of control, eventually, like, Children's Protective Services gets involved in some way. Yeah. And a lot of times that's just a family struggling to try to get the right services in place. But now that person, that parent, now may not be able to get a job in a lot of different places because they may have an open DCF investigation based on their child's mental health need, not based on the fact that they're actually neglected or that they are abusive, but because of just the way that their child's mental health
has presented,
right? And so, like, these are the things where it's like, we see these people as like the absolute experts, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
These are the people who can go into
They've been there.
meetings
Yes.
in different, in different places, and not only support families that are in these kinds of predicaments, but also like, this is how you change policy, right? Like, these parents shouldn't be able to, like, you could essentially be fired from your job. Like, if you're a teacher and you happen to have a child with significant mental health needs, and this is the pathway that happens, like, you could lose your job and all of your years of education and money that you put into your education. All of that could be gone in a second.
That's so true.
And like, that's an extremely scary thing. And so, these are the things about like our justice system that is scary to kind of interface with, because it's people's lives hang in the balance. And if you've been a teacher for 30 years and you have a child and this is what's happening, and then you're trying to deal with that and you lose your job, like, there's no way to really contest that. Yeah. It's very, very difficult to get that removed from if a school does like a query or a story on your kid, which is a criminal background check or a sexual, I forget what the story stands for.
Sexual offender.
It's around like child abuse and sexual offenses and all of that. So like, if that pops up, like, you're out of a job. And most places that you're working with kids,
they'll do that.
They do that. And then you don't get a job. But it's also like with some of the different jobs that are out there, like, because you've been to jail, does that also equal that you can't work with kids? I mean, like, we're talking about the Trump, for instance, right? You just mentioned like, it's money. It's like money moving around or whatever, right? Like, does that mean that like somebody who does some things with like fraud or whatever, that they're not capable of like taking care of kids? Do we think they're going to go in and teach second graders how to defraud the system? You know what I mean? Like, these are the things that like, that when we kind of start blanketing groups of people, right? Like, bad things, I feel like, always come from that.
It's so true.
Like, I really can't think of a time where we were like, this group of people, and made like this stereotype or belief around them, and like that ended up working out great.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work out great for anybody. It doesn't. And, I think also what's being highlighted for me and everything you just said is, we don't always know all of the facts at any one point in time in terms of like what's happening and why, right? And so what you're seeing before you is based on the knowledge and information that you have at that one point in time, which may not be everything, right? And that's also true with like criminal proceedings, right? Like, there are people, I was just saying before we started this episode, like with the Karen Reed in particular, like, there are people who are so stuck, like, she's innocent or she's guilty, right? And I'm like, are you actually like following the facts and the details, or are you swept up in like the media sensation of it all and just
clickbait?
The clickbait, and just have this like feeling that's generated based off of all the energy surrounding it, you know? And so like, it's also just kind of a reminder for all of us as we're watching these things, and, or, we talked about the political season coming up, and, I think we'll probably dive a little bit deeper into that, because there's a lot of mental health associated with that. But like, it's so important to stay informed and to make sure that that's important for our mental health, right? Like, having all the information that we can have so that we can make the best decisions is important. But then also, like you were saying before, how you stay informed is important too, because if you're just watching the news, the media, which is their whole goal, and we've talked about this before, their whole goal is to keep you there watching, right? So they're going to say the things and do the things that are going to keep you in your seat and your eyes glued. But is that all the facts and information that you need at this point in time to make an informed decision, you know? So I personally like to read articles more than I like to watch the news to get a full sense of what happened, because then it's in black and white. I don't have to deal with like the news anchor's inflection or their own like bias that might be coming through in the way that they're reporting, even though they're supposed to be non-partial, they're not. And so
I might get partial as us.
Yeah. I might get some heat at home for saying that, but like it's true. Like, you know, there's a like we all have our biases and they shine through whether or not we want to believe it or not. And so, you know, I just like with the Karen Reed, you know, I have my own opinion. I really do think she's innocent, but like that is based on me going through and like actually reading the testimony, right? So you can watch it all on court TV, right? It's all on court TV and like it's all over the place, but like I find it a lot easier to read the testimony because then I'm not like, oh, her lawyer's he's awesome. So like the next 10 things that come out of his mouth, I'm like, yeah. Because like, I think he's awesome, right? It's just like reading through just gives you another level. I mean, I know not everybody likes to read, but that's for me, how I get around like the like media cloud that surrounds the different things that are happening and stay informed so that I can have my own opinion versus like taking on the opinion of somebody else.
It's interesting though, what you said about her lawyer being like really good or like charismatic. Because these are the things that like persuade jurors, right? And so it's like trying to find that line where you're really like pulling out facts,
right,
and figuring all of those things out. I think the other thing, you know, which we talk about a lot related to like mental health too, about like fact checking, is also knowing when like enough is enough. Like if you're waking up every morning and you're like right to your phone to see what's going on with like, how did Karen Reed sleep last night? Like maybe
probably not good. I think she's still in jail. I don't think she's freed, which is rough.
So, you know, I think it's important to pay attention to like your own signs, you know, like, are you very, very like over the top kind of thinking about it, talking about it all the time, or unable to like go to bed. I mean, normally you go to bed at 10, but somehow you're watching stuff on your phone till 11:30 every night, you know? Like these are the things that I think it's important that you maintain your own mental health around these sorts of things, but just in general, because tough topics come up and happen all the time. And so knowing when to like just turn it off, because we do live in a 24-hour media cycle. So you can get a full 8 hours of sleep and don't worry, they're still running that same headline when you wake back up in the morning.
It's so true. It's so true. I will say, though, when the Donald Trump convictions were coming down, I got the alert on my phone. I literally was on a meeting. I was like, I got to go because I wanted to see it live. I wanted to see it. And so, yeah, it's funny. My colleagues were also, they were like, oh, snap. Yeah, let's end this. Let's go watch this. And they had their opinions on what they were hoping the verdict to be. But you know, it definitely, it can definitely consume you. And, you know, part of it is like kind of cool because it's like, it takes you out of your own world. You know, it's like, it's like the millennial moms will feel me on this. It's like when you listen to like true crime podcasts while you're washing dishes, right? It's just like, it takes you out of, it's like reading a good book, you know, it takes you out of like whatever you've got going on and squarely in the middle of somebody else's drama that has nothing to do with you. You know, and that has some, I think, alleviating aspects to it from a mental health standpoint too. Like, you know, but like you said, it's like overconsumption is real. And it's so easy to do.
Just get a good crime audiobook. You know, it's better than the news cycle, I think. Know. That was one of the things that I adjusted during the pandemic was I turned off all of my notifications for any news app that I had.
Same.
Because it was just like every second there was like new news, new breaking news. Everything is breaking news now. I'm like, this is not breaking news.
Breaking news. It's summer. Like, wow.
Do you remember when it used to be breaking news that Michael Jackson had a new music video out?
Oh, yeah.
And it would be like on a regular TV.
Yes. Oh, my God. I remember when it was
days.
The breaking news I remember about Michael Jackson is when he dangled his baby over the balcony. That's the breaking news that comes to mind.
Baby blanket
with the baby hanging over the balcony. People are like, "Is he okay? Is his child okay?" I remember that. I remember being like, "I'm sure he's fine." He's got millions and millions of dollars and so many people around him. Oh my goodness!
Clearly, he wasn't fine.
Yeah,
none of that ended well.
Are you okay, Annie?
But you don't like to climb trees?
Oh. That clip every time. Michael Jackson makes his way into our podcast.
I know.
Every so often. He's just like, don't forget about me. Do you remember the time I dangled my baby?
The gin has hit your bloodstream.
Oh, we're just gonna sing the rest of this episode. Oh my God, I can't. That was he had a few court battles himself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like we said it all, really.
Yeah. It's just time to go off the grid.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the court.
Yeah. Don't worry about court. Unless you yourself have to be there for some reason. Then
show up.
Yo. Okay. We got to end it on this because
she started with yo.
Do you remember that clip? This is hilarious. This dude is literally showing up to Zoom court because his driver's license is suspended or some shit. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah. Best thing on the interwebs right now.
He shows up to court while driving. Mm-hmm. And
he's
the judge is like,
hold on, I'm just pulling into this pocket spot.
Right now. He's like, don't worry about it. The judge is like, hold on a second. I must be mistaken because
I love that the judge sat there quietly and waited for him to park.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm just going to watch him actually drive on camera.
That is crazy.
And then I feel like he hit him with the can you remind me what we're here for?
Yes. Yes.
And he's like, driving on a suspended license. And he's like, and you're driving.
Yeah. His face when he realized, that was probably the best thing I saw on social media last week. I was like,
the best.
Oh my God, people. And then, of course, there's a part of me that's like, I wonder if his mental health is okay. Because, if it was, then, wouldn't he remember that?
No, his mental health was fine. That was somebody whose mental health was okay.
He just didn't give a F about the law, essentially.
He was just not thinking it through.
Yeah. Bro.
Why did he turn his camera off?
Just be like, oh, I'm in the car with my cousin. He's going to pull over. Whatever. I mean, don't lie to the judge. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, to full on be breaking the law in the middle of a court hearing.
Yeah.
It's wild to me.
Wild. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I watched that a few times. The judge's face was classic.
The dude's face when he realized, he goes, the biggest ever. No matter how big you make it, you can never figure something else out to say that's going to justify what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. The judge was just like, warrant. Drive your ass here. You're already doing it. Get all your errands done. Drive on over here. Come get this warrant, these cuffs.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. I feel like there's more and more instances of that, of people literally snitching on themselves through social media because everyone has to put a camera up when they're doing.
Everybody has to post everything.
Everything. That it's just it's been so many instances of moms going to jail because they decided to go to a party and tell social media that they left their kid at home, or stupid stuff like that. It's come on, let's
stupido,
be fucking for real. Yeah. So our advice at the Easy Speak is to
stay
avoid
off social media.
I was going to say avoid.
Start following us.
Yeah.
And be on it.
Be on it just to be at the Easy Speak.
Yes.
The Speakeasy.
Yeah. You're getting good mental health advice with your girls.
Yes. Yeah. Other than that, just stop snitching on yourself. And also stop being so nosy about other people's drama.
Mm-hmm. Totes.
But also, like, I totally get it if you want to watch a little bit of the trials because it's so fun.
You're obsessed with it.
I am. I love that shit. I love it. I love watching people get stumped on the stand. That's like one of my favorite things when like the lawyer's like, well, did you say this though? Because you just said this though. And people are like in real time, like, can't compute. Like, oh, I got caught. I love that.
I can't lie because I can't remember what I said 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. It's like, that's not like, what's the point?
I'm like, what? I probably did say that. I don't know. Rewind the tape. Let me see if I said it.
You would be good on the stand. There are a couple of people who are like, if I said it, then I said it. Somebody said that one time. They're like, it's just
that would be me. I'd be like, if you have a recording of it, then I guess it's true.
I guess it's true. Why are you even asking me? Since you already know.
Why am I up here? You already know.
Oh my gosh. This has been another wonderful episode of the Easy Speak. I feel like we're like 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
So we should probably wrap it.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it. Just do a little wrap around. Thank you for joining us on episode 38 of the Easy Speak Speakeasy. Mm-hmm. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and review. Mm-hmm. And tell a friend to tell a friend.
And stay tuned for our meditation minute.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.